After how bad New Vegas made us look in comparison? Ha, no thanks. We like our standards nice and low. Thank you very much. People are talking about how sensitive Bethesda may or may not be, as of recent news. And considering that also in somewhat recent news was Bethesda's odd responses to Steam reviews, and that Bethesda dev talking the other day about how gamers are the problem, well, not sure how much we really need to ask this question, but let's take a look at what's going on now. So, what was this comment referring to? Well, that would be this article with the headline, Bethesda turned down Obsidian's proposal to work on multiple The Elder Scrolls spin-offs, written by twistedvoxel.com. And yeah, as was being discussed, Obsidian Entertainment are the devs of Fallout New Vegas. So back to the article and the current news. They write, Bethesda Game Studios had turned down multiple proposals from Obsidian Entertainment to work on the Elder Scrolls spin-offs. Former Obsidian Entertainment developer Chris Avellone has revealed that Obsidian Entertainment had offered proposals to Bethesda Game Studios for the development of multiple The Elder Scrolls spin-offs, one of which was intended to serve the same function as Fallout New Vegas did between Fallout 3 and Fallout 4. The latter was pitched by Avellone himself, and was intended to provide more adventures in the setting during the years before the next Bethesda release. It's going on 13 years since the release of The Elder Scrolls V Skyrim, and Fallout New Vegas itself is pretty much universally praised, and so you would think that an opportunity for BGS to work with Obsidian on more spin-offs before their next mainline Elder Scrolls game, so to speak, would be an opportunity that would entice them. However, apparently not. Avellone mentioned that he thought it could not hurt to try and push a similar system to what Treyarch/Activision had going with Call of Duty at the time, but one that was less rushed. The idea was that Bethesda would do a core release, and then Obsidian would release The Elder Scrolls title set in the same world, or a divergent timeline/era before the next big title from the former. He added that this information is probably less relevant today, as Elder Scrolls Online already exists. However, he had said that, at the time, it seemed to be something that could have benefited both studios. Well, I myself am not very familiar with the Treyarch Activision stuff, so I can't really comment on that. What I can comment on, though, is the premise of requiring BGS to release a main Elder Scrolls title before Obsidian released their Elder Scrolls spin-off in this hypothetical scenario. Like, on one hand, that's a pretty big requirement. However, on the other hand, it has been a long time since Skyrim was released, and perhaps Obsidian didn't realize just how long Bethesda planned on taking before releasing their next main Elder Scrolls game, or we could just say the Elder Scrolls 6. So, with all that in mind, perhaps Obsidian thought that these plans would sync up a bit better than what we've seen play out in reality with the time frame of BGS releases. And plus, it does seem like Bethesda has been keen on just milking Skyrim in any way possible, from the numerous re-releases to the attempts at profiting off of the work of Skyrim modders. Anyways, the article concludes with this. This part's kind of funny. So, it says, the former Obsidian developer, going back to, what was his name? Avellone, right? The former Obsidian developer wasn't surprised that the idea didn't gain much traction, however. He mentioned that he never got the impression that the higher-ups at Bethesda were happy with Fallout New Vegas' reception, which once again is largely, overwhelmingly positive. Continuing, though, he agreed that one of the negative aspects surrounding the game was that it had numerous issues at launch that the development team could have worked harder to resolve. Avellone mentioned that another potential spin-off involved a player adventuring in an alternative The Elder Scrolls world that the last hero had failed to save in the last mainline title. In related new, they conclude with news, I think I should say. In related new, it was previously revealed that The Elder Scrolls 6 will build upon the magic and leveling system found in The Elder Scrolls V Skyrim. Going back to more comments in response to this article, we got, don't want Obsidian to make them look bad, completely understandable, and still hurt over New Vegas, a lol. It's just so freaking weird that it's a bit difficult to even believe. But once again, given recent events with Bethesda, weird might be normal for them. I'm talking about how weird it would be for them to actually be upset about a spin-off that they agreed to, New Vegas in this case, doing well. Like, would that actually upset them? Like, there's actually a significant amount of BGS employees who are upset at New Vegas because it did well. It's so well liked. I mean, that's just crazy if so. A different post talking about this news has this top comment saying, additional context by Chris Avellone, who just as a reminder did nothing wrong. and linking to a tweet by him. But let's stick on the nothing wrong thing for a second. So this was another thing that I was out of the loop on. But with a very brief search, I found this Reddit post from 9 months ago saying, video game writer Chris Avellone's accusers issue public statement retracting accusations of SA. So apparently, about 2 years before that happened 9 months ago, 2 women on Twitter had accused him of SA. It sounds like he took legal action against them to clear his name, to prove his innocence. And the women not only ended up retracting their claims, but also he was awarded a 7-figure settlement. Avellone was awarded a 7-figure payment/settlement. Now returning here where we left off, the tweet that's quoted here pretty much just recaps stuff that we already went over from the article. You know, the article sourced this, so we already got this info. Let's move on to some of the comments. Really does seem like Bethesda was offended/threatened by the massive amount of praise and success heaped on Obsidian for Fallout New Vegas. Couldn't have improved when 4 came out, and was also met with less praise than they expected. And someone else writing, it's so strange also. Bethesda could just focus on their strengths, which is open world sandboxes, and Obsidian could focus on theirs, which is narrative-driven worlds. Everyone wins, and nobody is content starved for 10 years at a time. And quick pause. It's like what I was saying a few minutes ago about the whole thing being so dang weird, right? Like, it is a very odd situation here. Continuing. This person writes, Skyrim is a perfect example of why this would work. One half love the game for its open world sandbox, which is a master class, and the other half hate it for being so lackluster in the stories and content it provides. Now imagine a Skyrim New Imperial City, quote-unquote, esque spin-off, a story-driven The Elder Scrolls game set in a more contained world that is about the internal politics of the stuff going on between the provinces after the Great War, just as an example. Now, that other half are also happy, and Bethesda have more reference to improve their next sequel. Although people then began to debate how good Fallout New Vegas was at launch, some saying that it was a buggy mess, or more specifically, this person says it was an unfinished mess, and others go on talking about things like bugs, etc., etc. With one user defending Obsidian saying, to be fair, Obsidian got a frickin' 1.5 years of dev time. That's nothing for such a massive game, not even counting DLC and patches too. Given how cold Bethesda has been about New Vegas since then, it really feels like one of those projects that was intended to be sent out and die, and deeply angered a few folks when it didn't. Kinda ironic given the story of New Vegas, but yeah, really the vibe I've gotten over the years. Bethesda has just been aggressively apathetic about New Vegas's slow burn success and redemption. And other comments just continuing to mock Bethesda a little bit, poking some fun here at all this stuff, with this quote being like, please stop making us look bad, from Bethesda. Someone else saying, after BG3 and Elden Ring, all other RPGs of kind just aren't good enough. Yeah, Bethesda has some work to do. Nah, the modders have work to do for Bethesda. Yeah, so talking about Starfield on this one, it really is scummy how it feels like Bethesda left so many things so undercooked in Starfield, just like they're expecting modders to fix it for free on their own time. People going on to talk about that further here, with one user saying, nope, they only have to get enough work in to make it as extensible as Skyrim, then do nothing and wait as the modding community rebuilds their game for them, and then over time they swim in the dollar bills. as the game starts selling again as a result of those mods. However, someone else says, that's not how it works. You need a good game to have passionate modders work for free for you. Just look at the statement released by the Skyrim Together mod developer who was porting it to Starfield, saying, I'm not going to put my heart and soul into a mod for a game as mediocre as this. If you make a trash game, modders won't help you. Maybe I'm reading this wrong, but I feel like these people just actually agree with each other. Like, this one's talking about what Bethesda thought would happen, and then this person's talking about the reality of the situation. But yeah, as for the news itself, that's pretty much all the main stuff for this one, as well as some public reception, public opinion to those statements and whatnot. You get the point. So I'll leave it there. As always, thank you for tuning in. I hope you enjoyed this segment. And if you did, consider liking and or subscribing for more segments like this. And if you want to catch me live sometime, consider checking out my VTuber account in the description. And I'll see you guys in the next segment. Once again, thanks for tuning in and have a great rest of your day.